After the first video where I talked about the AKM, I will show you the best cheap builds for the AK74. The difference between the AK74 and the AKM is between the caliber. The AKM has 7.62x39 and the AK74 has 5.45x39. The main difference between those two rounds is between the damage, the penetration and the speed, and the AK74 has a lower base recoil. Lastly, the good thing about the AK74 is that it is cheap. By the way, throughout the video I will do a breakdown of the most used ammo type for the AK74. And now let's start with the first build. If you really don't want to spend anything on the AK74, you can spend a little as like 20,000 rubles for this build. The full price is going to be 22,800 rubles. Now moving on the weapon stats. As you can see, even though this build is extremely cheap, 47 ergonomics, it's fine, but 66 vertical recoil and 187 horizontal recoil, it's very good considering that this gun is extremely economic. You can also add a sight, but this is going to change your price. Now, moving forward on the attachments, we are going to start off with the MB1 gas tube with -1% recoil plus 6 ergo, the GP25 recoil pad with -5% recoil plus 3 ergo, the Bastion Dustcover with -1% recoil plus 5 ergo, and lastly the AK Zenit DKT-1 Muzzle compensator with -13% recoil and -2 ergo. 22,000 rubles for all of the attachments, it's a pretty good, affordable price. And taking consideration that the AK-74 itself costs 22,000 rubles or a little bit more, 40,000 rubles for everything is quite good. Before we move to the next build, I really wanna thank you all for the good feedback and appreciation of the last video. If you guys like my content, don't forget to subscribe. And I noticed that many of you guys aren't subscribed to the channel. By doing this is only gonna motivate me to publish more videos, if you guys are of course interested in them. Now, moving forward to the second build. Now, on the second build, as you guys can see, there isn't a big difference between the first one and the second one. The only big difference is the muzzle compensator and the handguard. For this build you are going to pay 30,000 rubles. As you can see, the muzzle compensator, and the fun fact is, if you actually go and buy it from the trader, you're going to pay 15k rubles. But, as I'm going to show you, you can actually have the muzzle compensator and the grip, both of them for 11k rubles if you are lucky on the flea market. Because there is the SAG AK-545 short, which already has the muzzle compensator that I am talking about. And if you find it on the flea market, usually people list it for 50,000 rubles or even less. So you can get lucky and actually buy the gun with the muzzle compensator and the grip, and when you're going to resell the gun, you're going to have the muzzle compensator and the grip for 11,000 rubles. So because of this, for actually have this build, you must be at least level 15. Now, as you can see from my video, I got it for 54,000 rubles. I stripped off the muzzle compensator and the grip, and then I went to mechanic and sold it for 43,000 rubles. Now, after this small tutorial, let's move on the stats. So, for ergonomics, we got 51 ergonomics. For the vertical recoil we got 62, and for the horizontal recoil we got 175. Now for the attachments we have the AK100 polymer handguard with +6 ergo, the GP25 recoil pad with -5% recoil and +3 ergo, the Bastion Dustcover with -1% recoil and +5 ergo, the AK74 PWS muzzle brake with -16% recoil and -4 ergo, the AK Strike Industries pistol grip with +8 ergo. Now, the full price of everything is going to be 30,000 rubles for the attachments and 22,000 rubles for the AK. Combined together, the full price is going to be 52,000 rubles. Now, before we move on to the next build, I will do briefly a breakdown of all the good ammunition for the AK-74. Now, let's start off with PPGS. PPGS has 44 damage and 36 penetration. To pierce through a level 4, you just need 2 bullets connecting each other in the same point, and eventually you will kick down a level 4. But for everything else, PP is not good. PP should be used for head-eyes stuff, for aiming to the head, and not for armor damage or stuff like that, because it's very weak. And now BPGS, which is actually almost the same as PPGS, has 45 damage and 37 penetration. Literally the same deal as PPGS, but PPGS has 44 damage and 36 penetration. But there is no difference between those two rounds, and the funny thing is, when you buy BPGS you're gonna spend way more than PPGS. Now we have BTGS, which has 42 damage and 40 penetration, so this means that one bullet can pierce through a level 4 without no problems. The only issue about this bullet is that it's tracer and it has +3 recoil. The recoil increase is very simple. Just add 3 recoil on the vertical recoil stat and you get the difference. It's very easy to understand. Next up we got 740. 740 is fucking amazing, but the only issue about this bullet is that you can't buy it from the flea market nor from the traders. The good thing about this bullet is that it has 44 penetration and 52 damage, and also has -20 recoil and +50% accuracy. This bullet is fucking insane, because with 2 of those bullets connecting in the chest with a level 5, you can pierce through without no problem. Now we move to the big boys. We got BSGS. BS has 51 penetration and 40 damage, and increases your recoil by 10 more. The good thing about this bullet, besides being very fucking powerful with that 51 penetration, is that besides that, this bullet is pretty shit, because it has very low damage, but it has very high penetration. Now, last but not least, we got PPBS, or commonly known as iGolnik. We have 62 penetration, 37 damage, and +15 recoil. So, the thing about this bullet is that it's a Chad killer. There is no armor in the game that can stand a chance against this bullet. But the bad thing about this bullet is you can't buy it from the trader, you can't craft it, you can't buy it from the flea market, you have only to craft this bullet from the hideout. But besides that, this bullet is a fucking train. The only big issue about this bullet, besides being +15 recoil, is that has 37 damage. So this means that if you want to kill someone in the chest, you gotta shot him 3 times at least. After this little breakdown of the ammunition for the AK-74, let's move on to the third build. As you can see, the third build isn't that exotic, but functionally this gun is very good. Now, the full price for this build is gonna be 58,000 rubles. Now, moving on the weapon stats, we have 63 ergonomics, 54 vertical recoil and 151 horizontal recoil. Now, moving on the attachments, we have the AK CAA RS47 handguard with -2% recoil plus 7 ergo, the GP25 recoil pad with -5% recoil and plus 3 ergo, the Bastion Dustcover with -1% recoil and plus 5 ergo, the AK74 Thread type RRD4C muzzle brake with -19% recoil and -2 ergo, the AK TangoDown pistol grip with plus 12 ergo, lastly the Magpul AFG Foregrip with -2% recoil and plus 6 ergo. So, for 58,000 rubles for every attachment is very good, and 22,000 rubles for the AK base, combined together is gonna be 18,000 rubles. Now, moving on the fourth build, which is going to be the last build. One thing that I love about this gun, it's the ergo. By the way, the price is going to be 18,000 rubles for all the attachments. Now, moving on the stats, we have 76 ergonomics, 47 vertical recoil and 133 horizontal recoil. This gun is a fucking beast, honestly. As you can see by the stats, it's truly powerful. Now, moving on the attachments, we have the AK Troy handguard and gas tube combo, plus the 4.2 rail with minus 4.5% recoil and plus 10 ergo, the Magpul Zhukov-S stock with minus 40% recoil and plus 15 ergo, Bastion Dustcover with minus 1% recoil and plus 5 ergo, the AK74 Thread type RRD4C muzzle brake with minus 19% recoil and minus 2 ergo, the AK TangoDown pistol grip with plus 12 ergo, and lastly the AK Magpul AFG Foregrip with minus 2% recoil and plus 6 ergo. Now, moving on the prices, the price of the attachments is going to be 18,000 rubles. Combined with the AK-74, which costs 22,000 rubles, is gonna be 100,200 rubles. Which, trust me, for an almost meta build, it's very good. And now I'm going to show you how they perform in raid. So let's start off with the first build. As you can see, of course, this is the cheapest build, so don't expect anything great in particular. Now, moving on the second build, you're not going to see a big difference between the first one and the second one, but you're going to see just a slight difference. So, moving on the third build. As you can see, the third build is gonna have a little bit of a difference. Actually, no, it's gonna have a big difference between the second one and the third one. Last but not least, we're going to see how the fourth build is gonna perform in raid. Thank you very much for sticking to the end of the video. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. If you guys need anything, just leave a comment down below. And I am deeply sorry if I posted a video after 1 month, but I had other things to do. I love you all and stay strong, my brothers.